Hello dear children, today with this video we will be revising our chapters for the upcoming PT examination. I hope everybody is having their work completed in their fair copies and you all are going through your book for your better learning and understanding. We are starting with the first chapter of geography, our environment. In this chapter we basically read about how Earth as a planet is a habitat to not only human beings but also to plants and to animals. And we all know that all these human beings, plants and animals, they are dependent on each other for their survival. This surrounding of ours in which we live, in which we survive, is called our environment. Anything or everything which is in our surrounding is called the environment. And environment can be of two types. This is also known to all of us very well: natural and man made. What I breathe in is not made by me, that is oxygen. It is through my natural environment that I have got something already and I am using it. But if I am sitting on a chair is not natural. Chair is made using the resources which are provided by the nature, but it is made utilizing human skills. So when I am talking about natural environment, I am talking about many things around me. I am talking about the land, I am talking about the air, and I am talking about very many things around me. So natural environment again is in two parts: biotic and abiotic. When I talk about environment, they are of two types: natural and man-made. Again, natural environment is of two types: biotic and abiotic. When I talk about abiotic environment, that means the environment, the elements which do not have life. I am talking about air, atmosphere, water, hydrosphere, and land, lithosphere. Lithosphere or land, it is a concept, it is known to all of us very well. In the chapter video also we read that it is the solidified base on which life on earth exists. It is the solid rocky top surface of the earth which is covered by soil which helps in the growth of plants, and these plants and crops are the ultimate source of food for animals and human beings. Along with it, land is a reservoir of minerals. There are a lot of minerals present inside the land. There are a lot of fossil fuels present inside the land, which over the time man has learned how to dug out, and after that how to filter and utilize. All those are a part of abiotic environment because they come out of land, they don't have a life. After lithosphere, when we talk about hydrosphere, hydrosphere is the total amount of water present on earth in any form. Now what are the forms of water? I have water in the liquidized forms in my oceans, ponds, lakes, rivers. I also have water in the frozen form in the poles. So North Pole and South Pole are frozen poles. I also have the ice caps over my mountains. I also have them in the form of glaciers, and all these things. You have icebergs. These are the frozen form of water, but they are ultimately water. Third part is underground water. It isn't visible to me with my naked eyes, but I know inside the layers of earth I have presence of water, and all these three things together constitute to make up the hydrosphere. And we know water on earth remains constant. The amount of water on earth remains constant. It never gets reduced, neither it ever increases. Then you will ask, how, if it is never increasing, we are having floods? Floods are actually the falling back of the evaporated water in a large amount in one specific area. If the same amount of rain could have been distributed in all the areas, there would have been no floods. But as the rain gets concentrated in one particular area, it causes flood. Amount of water on earth remains the same. Understanding? Like it is a cycle. Water, when it is in the ponds, lakes and rivers, and the sun is when I say the heat of the sun is evaporating the water, where is the water going? They form clouds. When due to a lot of heat, these water steam droplets, they condense and fall back as rain. Then the water which was evaporated from these ponds, lakes, rivers and oceans comes back into these ponds, lakes, rivers, and oceans. So it works like a cycle, and this whole procedure of the water is known as water cycle. This was hydrosphere. Atmosphere. When I talk about atmosphere, children, I talk about the envelope of air and gases which is surrounding Earth. We all know Earth has an envelope of air and gases around itself. This envelope does not let the ultraviolet radiation of the sun fall on on Earth or affect the Earth. We know how this envelope is remaining intact over the Earth with the help of gravity. Gravity keeps the atmosphere retained in its place, and this atmosphere is saving us from ultraviolet radiation of the sun, or extreme heat of the sun is not directly reaching to the Earth. And in the day and night, when you shift from day to night, the extremes of temperature either increase or fall. It's all controlled by the envelope of the air and gases known as atmosphere. We all know all the creatures on earth require oxygen for their survival. Not only human beings, but also the plants, but also the animals. Without like humans will die, even animals will die, even plants will die. Although plants take in carbon dioxide, but in the night they do require some amount of oxygen. So oxygen is a base for survival of all the plants, animals, and human creatures on the earth. So life on earth is not possible without atmosphere. That's the main point. Now let us come to biotic environment. Recently, when I read about natural environment, two parts we talked about: abiotic and biotic. Abiotic was lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere. No life. They do not have life in themselves, but they support our life. Now we are coming to biotic environment. So when I talk about biotic environment, I am talking about a zone, or I am talking about an environment where everything is living. And when is this biotic environment possible? When I have my lithosphere, my hydrosphere, and my atmosphere meeting together at a place. Meeting together at a place where I have oxygen to breathe, land to walk over, and water to drink and let my plants grow. That is all possible on earth. So this biotic environment which supports life is known as biosphere. It is the living world, including all plants, animals, and human beings. And we all know these plants, animals, and human beings are dependent on each other for their survival. So this is called ecosystem. It is a system of sustaining life on earth. Without ecosystem, life on earth cannot sustain. Understanding? And when is ecosystem possible? When I have the presence of all the three major domains on the earth, that is lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. When I have all these three domains, I form biosphere, and when I have the formation of biosphere, I have ecosystem functioning. Understanding, children? Now what is human environment? We all know we are human beings. When I talk about human environment, I am talking about the environment which is created by human beings. Right now we all are living in our homes. We have vehicles to ride, we have constructed roads to walk on, to move from one place to another. But when earth evolved, it was not in the shape we are able to see it today. Now shape here doesn't mean earth is a geoid, we all know. Shape doesn't mean that. Shape means the basic things inside the earth were not as they are today. Today on earth we have life, we have everything which is required for comforting human life. But in the past, when I talk about the past, when I talk about the years when earth was evolving, in the previous chapters video I explained you that it was having bubbling hot rocks, it was having gases. Then when these rocks settled, we had the formation of land, water already existed, and oxygen was present over earth. Now these things were already natural environment. When humans developed these things for their own benefits, for comforting their life, we had the formation of human environment. We are into very many primary activities like agriculture, like farming, mining, forestry, and all these things are dependent on nature. Without my land, I cannot grow a forest anywhere. Without my land, I cannot construct a road or a house to live in. Now, when we talk about development, when we talk about human environment, it is all very good that with the help of technologies we have developed so many things. But, children, do you know when we are developing in this race of developing humans, we are in a way destroying what has been created by nature. And this destruction caused by humans to the nature is known as pollution. We all know, you read about pollution, you make posters about pollution, you make awareness campaigns about pollution, that how pollution is causing harm to humans and how we human beings should remain aware. We should not harm our environment, we should not create noise pollution, we should not create air pollution, we should not pollute the water. So when human beings have a tendency to change things according to their own need. So when a human being is changing things according to his own need, he should also realize that nature is not to be destroyed. This was the chapter, our environment. Now let us start with the revision of history, the medieval age. The first chapter of history which we read, the medieval age. And in this chapter, we read that history is basically divided into three parts: ancient, medieval, modern. Ancient is about the times when writing, reading, and recording of records or deeds or acts was not developed. So we have very less things of those times where we call things to be of ancient times. We still have, but not as much as we have about medieval and the modern period. Medieval, as it is in between ancient and modern, is the middle age. We also call it middle age, and the duration of the medieval period is from 8th to 18th century. Now this was the developmental period where India observed a lot of developments, when India observed a lot of travelers, when India observed a lot of kings approaching to the place. Then they had their own cultures, and all these things caused a lot of development in India. What were the developments? They were economic. There were travelers and traders who came from very many other countries, sold their items in India, purchased items from India, and then traveled back to their country. There were political developments. People started realizing how basically we can have a good political structure which may run the country. We had social development, cultures and traditions developed. Some cultures and traditions changed, the good ones were adopted, the ones which were not good for human race were abolished. And cultural changes, people came from other nations, they brought things with themselves. We people had things from us, when they took the things to another way. We developed culturally. Somewhere we adopted some cultures, somewhere people adopted our cultures. So this was the development of the medieval period. Trade grew, and with the help of trade, towns also started growing. If you have people coming from different places of the world to your place, they need a place to stay. For their staying and their survival and their comforts, a lot of things developed. Towns were settled near ports, because in the earlier times it was only through the oceanic waterways that travelers and traders traveled from one country to another. So these were the developments. Let's move forward. Now, who were historians? Who are historians? If I talk to you about historians, any person who records a phase of history with all the basic records, resources which are trustworthy, I am talking about a person, historian. The sources from where we get the know-abouts of the past, they are recorded by the people, and the ones who record all these things are called historians. The book of history which we read, it may come from any publisher, but the book of history has taken the contents from the very many books of the historians of those times, the people who studied the past, the people who took out the facts from the past, recorded those facts so that they can be utilized in the today's modern world. Now, when I talk about historical sources, how do we know that ever there had been a king called Akbar? Or how do we know that Qutub Minar was made by Qutbuddin Aibak? How do we know? We have sources. Qutub Minar stands tall itself. It is an example. It speaks for itself that yes, I was created by one of the Sultan of Delhi. So when I talk about sources of history, they are in two parts: archaeological source and literary source. Archaeological source are basically the things which were made in those periods, like coins. Coins had the imprint of the king and the year of his rule. Then, other than coins, there were inscriptions on metallic pieces. Things were written about the king and his reign. There were temples in the past. So many temples were made by the kings. There were mosques which speak about the past. There are utensils when excavation sites are taken up and things are dug out of the layers. We come to know that how in the past people utilized utensils. There are palaces. If you move to Rajasthan, Rajasthan is a land of kings. You have a lot of palaces standing tall and high. So they are not fictional, they are in reality, and this reality tells us that these palaces are a part of our archaeological source. They do not speak anything. You cannot read from the palace, but looking at the palace, you can understand that yes, it is a part of history. And then ornaments, antique ornaments. If you had ever been to any of the museum, you might have seen that in the olden days what people used to wear as an ornament is today all an antique ornament. They provide us a very detailed information about the past, how kings lived, what they did, what they did not. After this, we come to the literary sources. When anything is in the written format, we take it into literary source. Now literary sources can be biographies, autobiographies, chronicles, court records, poetries. Any work of writing is in the literary source. So most of the writing in this era was done on paper, and it is easily available because it was recorded. When we talk about ancient times, paper was not present in the ancient times, nor was ink available. So you get the sources through the written documents over the bark of a birch tree. And now after the development of paper, things were recorded on the paper utilizing ink. So let us read about this now. Chronicles. When it tells us about the rule of a ruler in detail and his life in the court. Like you might have seen in the historic movies, Akbar was a king, he had a court. It is coming in the upcoming chapter also when we'll deal. How do we know that kings were in the court and they did justice? Because we read history. There are sources present that they made justice to people. So let us go through what are the major chronicles. Some of the chronicles are Rajat Rangini, which was written by Kalhana, Tughlaqnama, written by Amir Khusro, Tariq-i-Firishta, written by Ferishta, and Tariq-i-Firoz Shahi, written by Ziauddin Barani. These are the court records. Now after chronicles, let's come to biographies. These are life story of a king and his reign written by another person. Like somebody is writing for one king, it is a biography. So some major biographies are Prithviraj Raso by Chandra Bardai, Humayun Nama by Gulbadan Begum, Akbar Nama by Abul Fazl. These are biographies. And when a king decides to write for his own life, when a king narrates his own story through a written document, we call it autobiographies. Autobiographies can be Babar Nama by Babar, Tuzuki Jahangir by Jahangir, and you may read very many examples are present in the book. Then comes travelogues. This is the last topic. Travelogues in itself, it speaks when I record my traveling in a log. It is my travelogue. When I write my experiences of traveling in a logbook where I record everything with the date and the day of happening, that is a logbook. So when I travel and record all my things according to the date and time in the log, I am writing a travelogue. So many travelers visited India during the medieval period, might be for coming for trade or for visiting the kingdoms of the kings, and they wrote about their experience, how they traveled, what type of people they met, what were their experiences, and how they felt, what they witnessed, what were the things which were different in this nation. And these experiences were recorded in the travelogues. They are a major source of information because the people who came from outside, who were totally unaware of what existed in India, if they are writing, that can be a very useful source. So you have Al-Biruni from Central Asia, he was a traveler. Abdur Razak from Persia was a traveler. Marco Polo and Niccolo Conti from Italy. Duarte Barbosa and Domingo Paes from Portugal. Ralph Fitch, William Hawkins from England, and Bernier and Tavernier from France. These were the travelers. We don't have in the chapter the names of the books which they have written, but we know the names because they traveled. It is an important topic, children. Read thoroughly from the book the name of the traveler and the country from which he came to India. Here we come to an end of our revision. Please go through your chapters. They are very easy and they are very informative. Your book is having all the details. Already you are knowing your PT1 will be held in the forms of MCQs. You will get the options. You will be ticking on the correct option. Whatever queries you have, children, kindly post in SJC Campus Care. Please do not post over YouTube. YouTube is not like a personal media through which we can interact. It's a global media, a global platform. What do you write for your teachers is read by very many people around the world. Not only Ratlam, not only India, around the world people are able to read what you are writing for your teachers. When you have a genuine query, please post your query, your question, your doubt in the NTAB Campus Care. Please do not write over the videos which our teachers are posting for you people to go through. It doesn't look good the way you people are questioning the teachers over the video. Please post your queries on the NTAB Campus Care. Here you come to an end of the video. All the best. Prepare well for the coming examination. I hope in the revision video you might have brushed up with the records of whatever we have read in the past. Kindly go through your book. Question answers as such you do not have, but you need to read and learn from those answers because MCQs can be formed from anywhere. I hope I am clear. I hope things are clear to you. So now till the next video, take care, prepare well. Thank you.